There are people way less prepared than you that are already ahead of you simply because they started. The most expensive mistake I've made wasn't failing, it was waiting. Waiting to feel ready has cost me years. And the lesson that I've learned is that readiness doesn't come before action, it comes afterwards because of it. Most people aren't stuck because they lack ability or even knowledge. It's because they're trying to eliminate all risk before they move at all. And this is the readiness myth. We think that readiness comes from a sense of knowledge and preparedness and just feeling like all the pieces are ready before we begin. But readiness is usually just that emotional safety that we're looking for. We're waiting to feel certainty and proof that it's going to work before we actually see for ourselves. Waiting to feel ready is often just waiting to feel safe in doing what we hope to do, but growth is not really compatible with the feeling of complete safety at all times. Safety is not a requirement for growth, it's often an inhibitor of it. Waiting can look like you're being strategic, or you're being thoughtful, or you're being disciplined, but sometimes preparation becomes socially acceptable avoidance. I learned this lesson about waiting for everything to be perfect in my life in a really difficult way. I was really excited and inspired in 2020 to start a sustainable bag brand, and I did all my due diligence. I was having a product that I was excited about, and then I just started kind of spiraling in this preparation phase. I didn't think that my product was going to be good enough on its own. So I thought that I needed to add more products and expand the product line before I actually launched my crowdfunding campaign. And I got so caught up in perfecting branding that I spent thousands of dollars in a good chunk of a year just trying to get my logo and my branding and everything feeling exactly like I wanted it to. I kept telling myself I wasn't ready and my idea wasn't ready enough to go out in front of the world and to launch, and I just kept perfecting and preparing. At a certain point, I wasn't refining the product towards anything that was going to be helpful. I was just fiercely trying to protect myself from rejection. If I had launched my product, my first idea, as I had it in the beginning, then I would have had data. Even if I failed, then I would have had data and known for sure how to go about improving my product or what exactly needed to change. But instead, after years of not launching, I had a massive amount of burnout and I never launched at all. What I realized years later is that I wasn't trying to protect my product or my brand. I was trying to protect my identity. Because when you don't start and you stay in the readiness myth, then you do protect yourself from any sense that you could fail. Your self-image remains untouched. You get to believe that you could still succeed and that you could have succeeded, and your idea of your potential in your head remains as big as you want it to be. As long as the idea or whatever it is you dream of stays in your head, then it remains possible. The moment that you act or launch something or publish something or put yourself out there, then it becomes real, and real things can fail. That's why waiting feels safer, but waiting also really protects your ego. And what happens when you actually take action is that your capacity for success actually grows. In a book that I read recently, Noah Kagan talks about how important it is to kind of go about collecting no's on your quest to get yeses, because rejection and collecting those no's is proof that you're asking enough people enough times to get them. Rejection isn't proof that you're not ready, it's proof that you asked in the first place. And the goal isn't to be bulletproof. It is to get data and collect experience that is gonna grow our capacity to achieve the things that we want. The fear of failing itself is what guarantees failure. Because if you don't start something, then you don't collect any data. If you start something or put yourself out there in a way and you fail or you get feedback, then you get data and you get information. Only one path is going to create readiness and increase your capacity for achieving what you want, because clarity comes from contact with reality. The first hard conversation or asking somebody for something is super uncomfortable, but the fifth feels a little bit better, and by like the 20th one you have, it feels normal. The first application that you have feels vulnerable, but by the 10th one, it feels strategic. Readiness isn't some perfect set of variables that will just come to be in your life and making you feel ready. Readiness is just exposure accumulated. All right, we are on to the actionables that I'm going to give you to combat the readiness myth in your own life and to move towards action instead of planning and preparation and endlessly waiting. Number one is to shrink the starting line. So instead of the finish line being launch this entire brand that's perfectly ready, move the finish line, make it so much closer to you. Sell one unit, pre-sell one unit to one person that you already know. That's going to be way easier for you to achieve and accumulate that action that you need to keep feeling ready. Instead of framing it as that you want to change careers, just apply to one job. Just shrink that starting line back towards you. Make it more actionable. Not learn everything about a given topic, but maybe read one book. Not just become a more confident person, but start with having one honest conversation. Feedback is infinitely better than endless preparation. The second actionable step is to replace the question of am I ready with what would give me data where I'm at. What small action would actually show me if this works or if there's demand for what I want to do? What conversation would help me clarify this? If you think you want to move somewhere new, then take a trip there for a few days and collect data. If the actions that you're taking don't create real world feedback, then they are probably rooted in avoidance. Third actionable step is to set a rejection target. If you want to apply for a new job or change careers, set a target to apply to 10 different companies, and don't let not hearing back from any of them discourage you because your goal in the first place was a rejection target. Give 5 pitches for your idea and collect those no's, savor those no's, and get that information. Have 3 hard conversations and see how you can learn and grow from them. If you change your goal of needing 100% yeses to collecting no's instead, then you take so much of that pressure off yourself, because your goal is completely different and your self-worth isn't dependent upon only being successful and needing yourself or your idea to be bulletproof before you put it out in the world, because your goal actually is to collect no's and take that action forward and run with it. And number 4 really feeds into this, and it is to separate your identity from the outcome. This is a level of maturity because your identity and who you believe yourself to be and who you know you are should not be on trial every time you go to put yourself out in the world. If you fail or it fails, that's feedback. If it succeeds or you succeed in doing what you want to do, that's feedback too, but neither defines who you are or who you see yourself to be. I know I spoke earlier about how this applied to my life in an entrepreneurial sense with my brand, but this applies so much to so many things, and these steps that we've gone over can be applied to your creative work, your relationships, how you show up at work, making new friends, trying new things, learning new things, and asking for what you need in all areas of life. There will always be somebody less prepared than you who moves faster than you do simply because they started. The difference isn't confidence. It's not certainty, and it's not talent. The difference is exposure. You don't become ready and then act. You act and then readiness catches up to you. And that's why you don't need to feel ready before you start.